For this meditation, which is working with healthily processing and releasing grief from our lung system, particularly, what I want you to do is make sure that you're nice and comfortable. So sitting, or you can actually be lying down for this, but just check that whichever position you're in, your spine is kind of nicely aligned in a nice straight line. So you don't want to be kind of lounging back in the chair or being in any kind of bad posture. So you want to be on a, with a well-supported chair with a straight back, or supporting yourself by sitting on a stool. If you're lying down, make sure you're lying on a fairly firm surface in terms of a bed or a couch, or even on the floor on a yoga mat. Just check that you're nice and comfortable first of all. Make sure if you're sitting that your feet are hip-width distance apart and your knees at that same distance as well, and then you're nice and relaxed. Your chair is not too high or too low that that would cause anything for your knees to be uncomfortable. And resting with the thighs, just with the hands on the thighs, palms facing down or up. So just yourself now, just kind of practice and just see which of those positions feels the most comfortable. And rather than have the elbows kind of jammed up against the body, just have a little bit of a space, have that idea of a space underneath your armpits, just a small area there, elbows slightly away from the body. And that allows the upper arms and the shoulders to be nice and relaxed. Just picking up your shoulders and then dropping them down. And picking them up and dropping them down. One more time, just to release any tension in the neck and the shoulder area. Tuck the chin back towards the throat and feel a lovely elongation in the back of the neck as you do that. Now closing your eyes, close your mouth, allow the tongue to rest against the roof of your mouth, the tip of the tongue resting against the back of the upper teeth. Bring a smile to the corners of your mouth. This lovely meditation is to help you release any grief or sadness in the healthiest way possible for you. And grief and sadness are the emotions which are associated with the lung system in terms of Chinese medicine and Qigong. And we're working with the lung system at the moment because in the Northern Hemisphere, it's autumn right now. And autumn is the time to help the lungs out, give them a bit of a helping hand so that they're as strong as possible in terms of resisting any external coughs and colds and infections. So if you can release any stagnant associated emotions of sadness and grief from the lung, then it can function much more efficiently in its physical realm. That realm being of defending us against external diseases, of breathing, and of healthily moving fluid around the whole body. So settling into this meditation now by breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. As you breathe in, feeling the belly expand. And as you breathe out, feeling the belly getting smaller. And what's really lovely and calming for the breath is to count and breathe in for the count of 4. And then breathe out for the count of 6. So allowing the exhalation to be a little bit longer than the inhalation. This is very calming for the nervous system. So use your own counting speed, Not so that you're putting your breath under any pressure, but just really being aware that your exhalation is a little bit longer than your inhalation. So keeping nice, smooth and relaxed breathing going throughout this meditation, I want you to think of yourself right now as a scientist. You're going to become the observer of your own emotions. So it's almost as though you're looking from the outside in. So you're not part of the emotions, you're merely observing what's going on. So I want you to think now of someone that you may be grieving for. Now that someone can be a person, a family member or a friend, or that someone can be a pet, could be your animal. I think at one time or another, we've all lost a person in our lives or a beloved pet. So think of that person or pet and observing from the outside. Observe the emotions of grief and sadness that you either felt at the time or you're still feeling right now. Just observing what that emotion feels like. So not going into it, not feeling it so much from the inside that you're getting too involved with it, but observing where you maybe see it in your mind's eye. Is it located anywhere in your body? Does it have any temperature sensation, hot or cold? Does it have a colour? Does it create any sensations anywhere else in your body? Does it cause any other feelings aside from the grief or sadness? Any regrets, any feelings of guilt, any feelings of fear or anxiety or anger? Remember, you're the observer, so you're merely looking at this from the outside. And as the observer, what I'd like you to observe is the intensity of that feeling right now on a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 being the smallest amount of sadness and grief, and 10 being the most overwhelming, huge amount of sadness and grief. So give your feeling a score from 1 to 10. And then on that scale, wherever you have scored that feeling, what I'd like you to do as you continue with this lovely calm breathing is allowing that calmness and relaxation to help you to very gently move that feeling 1 point lower down. So if you scored your feeling a 7, then very slowly and gently allow the breath to slide it down to a 6, just decreasing the intensity by 1 point. And what can also help you to do this is, as you exhale, think of releasing that little bit more grief and sadness into the atmosphere. It floats away from you, leaving less of it inside. So still observing, not getting too involved in it. Just seeing that sliding scale, nudging down 1 point, getting a little bit closer to the number 1 each time you exhale. Now, it would be impossible to expect that level of feeling will come down by 3 or 4 points in one session. So just look at moving it down the 1 point, not forcing, but just letting the breath release a little bit of grief or sadness that you might be holding on to. And keep going with that for a few more breaths, staying on the outside as the observer. No forcing, no frustration or anger with this. If nothing's happening at all, that's fine. Just observe and make a mental note of that. You always have the next time to do this. So there is no rush. Grief and sadness are very individual feelings for every single person. And now letting go of that breathing exercise and the emotion, coming back to the rise and fall of your belly for a moment. And thinking of your lungs now, being a little bit clearer, a little bit freer. They're not harboring quite so much sadness and grief. Even if you've only got rid of a tiny, tiny amount, just feel that little bit more free and more open in your lungs. And now think of the top of the head, the very top, the crown of your head. And in your mind's eye, I want you to imagine that's a lovely sparkling water fountain. So bringing a smile to the corners of your mouth. And each time you breathe out, send that fountain up into the air. So you're thinking of a fountain of sparkling water, or of, just lovely, lovely chi just spilling over out the top of your head. But you're going to send that fountain now up, 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 way up into the sky. So each time you breathe out, send the fountain higher up. With each exhalation, your energy reaches higher and higher up into the sky. And when you feel as though your energy is way above the clouds, Just hold it there for a moment. And think of that person or pet that you've been grieving for. And have a look around in your mind's eye. See if they're up there. See if you can see anything. You may not see anything. You might hear something. You might feel something in terms of a wind or a temperature difference. Stay up there and just see if any communication comes through from the loved one. Keeping it very light, very energized, very happy. You're up there exploring to see if they'd like to communicate with you. Just having a look, still being the scientist, the observer, so no desperation. Don't be at all concerned if it doesn't happen. Just having a look to see if they're around. And if they are, observe any communication that they may make with you. But if they're not, that's fine too, because you've sent your lovely chi up there into their realm, and they'll pick that up at some stage. Now beginning to bring yourself back down from high up, descending your chi, the water fountain, down through the crown of your head, back down through the center of your head, center of the throat, down through the center of the chest, all the way into the lower abdomen, to Dantian, to your center, your energy center. Keeping the smile on the corners of your mouth. And just knowing that through this meditation, you've released even the smallest amount of sadness and grief from your body, from the lung system in particular, leaving the lungs clean, clear, and open to function at their optimum. And you've also perhaps made contact and received some communication from the loved one that you lost, and maybe know now that they're safe and looked after wherever they are. So ending now by gently placing one palm over the lower belly, the other palm directly on top of that, and just sealing in that lovely chi, that lovely energy you've been moving around the place by circling the belly. Firstly, giving it a rub in one direction, and then changing the direction. Keeping the eyes closed, bringing the palms together and rubbing the hands together until your palms get really, really hot. And then placing both palms over your eyes, feeling the heat from your palms, nourishing the eyes, traveling back through the eyes to nourish the mind. And as you feel the heat dissipate, just giving your face a little massage to bring yourself back into the room. Slowly opening the eyes as you do so. And then allowing the hands to come back down, to rest on your thighs. So I hope you enjoyed that lovely meditation to mobilize and help you to release a little bit of grief or sadness from the lung system, even if it was only the tiniest amount. And hopefully that will then allow the lungs to be a little bit more open and free-flowing in terms of the way the chi or the energy, the blood and the fluid moves through that system, with the added benefit then of real physical change in terms of your ease of breathing, your resistance and resilience to external colds and diseases. And also the lungs help to mobilize and move fluid throughout the whole body. So really helping the lungs with all of those lovely functions.